It is completely a Pakistani perspective, and you ban it. So both me and Ali didn't understand at that point of time. Jaane Bhi Do Yaro today, even now, is relevant because people got that satire, which was against corruption. Nobody in Bollywood has ever made fun of himself, calling himself by that name. He is Akshay Kumar. If a film is really good, you can see it on people's faces who don't like it, that why is it so good. They're really scared. There's fear.
So how have you been?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, yeah. I'm doing well. So congratulations, 10 years. How does it feel?
Great. I remember you taking my first interview 10 years back when Tere Bin Laden released. And yes, I think at Ficky Frames.
City
I
Frames, yeah.
remember that. Yes. I think that was 2011 though. I think it was 1 year after.
Later. It happened later, yeah.
It happened later.
But I remember the conversation that we had in the corridor.
Yes. I also remember it. How time flies.
How time flies, and I vividly remember the film. I still remember when I watched it. It was such a pleasant surprise. So any movie lover, the best thing that can happen to them is that if they get surprised by a movie because the hype is less. And I had a great time watching that film in theater, and the people were less, but gradually it just kept on
Increasing.
filling in, and it became like a cult film. How do you
Thank
look
you.
back at Tere Bin Laden now?
I think it's a very special feeling, and I always believe that films are forever. Basically, once you make a film, and that's why we try and put as much as effort as we can, because once you put it out there, it's there forever. It's immortal, as an artwork. That's the great thing about cinema. So for me, it's always existing, and I always feel very special about it. And I'm really thankful that to God that was my first film, because the way it connected with the audience, that connection is special. And it's you cannot plan that kind of a connection. You cannot plan that a humor or a drama would connect with an audience in in that kind of a way. You cannot plan it. You cannot even expect it. Like, we never expected it to become a cult, like you said. We thought that we were making a fresh satire on on the post 9/11 world. It came out of a lot of anger, like I told you in my last interview. I mean, 9 years back, 9 years back, I told you. So it came from a lot of anger that I had at that time in the post 9/11 world, because I remembered what had happened after that immediately. My sister is an American citizen, so I also kind of heard stories which were happening in America immediately after 9/11. So there's a lot happening, and it came out of, like they say, that humor comes out of anger. Satire especially comes because satire stings. So that's how it came, and I think I never thought that it would connect so well with the audience, and they will also feel that feeling, because I don't think the film would have become a cult if they had not gotten the satire completely. You know how Jaane Bhi Do Yaro today, even now, is relevant because people got that satire, which was against corruption and bureaucracy, and how people are together hand in glove. Similarly, here they got it, and they got it all over the world, not just in India. They got it in Pakistan, though it was banned. But it did. It's a very famous film out there, thanks to the pirated DVDs.
I'm sure.
And internationally, from Guardian to Al Jazeera to Variety to Hollywood Reporter, you cannot plan that. I mean, you never aim for that kind of a thing when you're making a small indie film in Bollywood. You are just hoping that people enjoy themselves and everybody gets their money back. Whoever is invested in it. But to have it like this, it's great. I mean, it's the greatest feeling ever. So I cherish it even now. And the great part is that it's existing forever for anybody to watch.
No, absolutely. It is a film that I think one can watch at any point of time. Like, I would love to watch it whenever I can, because I absolutely freaked out on that film. Because when scenes become a part of your entire system, and you keep on going back to them, and you just chuckle at the dialogue. Most of the dialogues, I think they were amazingly funny. I think Piyush Mishra, I think it is one of his finest.
Piyush Bhai was amazing. Amazing he was, yeah.
The best part about the film was that you said that it came from an angry space after whatever happened in 9/11. But the viewpoint in the film, it is healthy.
Yeah, it is.
It is not coming out of any sense of, that just pinpointing at any one particular aspect and just presenting them as all black, and
Yeah.
and the rest of it is totally white. That I personally felt was really the benchmark, as far as what movies should be in terms of in this time of the world.
Hmm.
And objectivity. It came from an objective space,
Hmm.
and it was funny. It was genuinely funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the beauty of art. That's the beauty of cinema. How you channelize, because I think that's where it becomes a pure form, rather than just a project. When you're feeling something as an artist, and then you channelize that anger, hurt, happiness, whatever you have, that feeling, into something which is constructive. And the only thing that we were disappointed with after the film was that the way they banned it in Pakistan. That's what actually the only thing that hurt. Like you said, it's so objective. In many ways, it is also point of view of Pakistanis, in post 9/11 world, and that's why Ali Zafar did that film. But still, they banned it. The only reasoning now, in hindsight, I could understand is that the authorities knew that Bin Laden was living in Pakistan, which after 9 months, we saw he was killed there. So maybe they didn't want to ruffle feathers. That's the only explanation. Otherwise, why would you ban a film which stars a Pakistani heartthrob in a Bollywood film for the first time, and it has no Indian character to look down on Pakistan? It is completely a Pakistani perspective, and you ban it. So both me and Ali didn't understand at that point of time. But now, in hindsight, I think that could be the only explanation, that the government of Pakistan, as usual, was hand in glove with the terrorists, and they didn't want to offend Bin Laden. Though the film was more offensive to America, I must say, if at all. But
It was.
Americans have a great sense of humor. Like, the film was at the opening night of Friars Comedy Film Festival in New York. This is a very, very prestigious comedy film festival. This is the only Bollywood film which has ever gone there and opened the festival. Last year, I mean, in 2009, the festival was opened by Coen Brothers' Serious Man, and in 2010, Tere Bin Laden opened it. So they have that sense of humor to bring in a film which is very critical of the American policies, but still they have that humor to take it, and that's what I really like about America, despite whatever you can say my punches were on the Bush administration in that film. But still, I appreciated that they were okay with it, but not so in the Pakistani sense.
And interestingly, it doesn't happen too often that the filmmaker takes care of the Urdu accent, the entire, the way Urdu is spoken, and mixed with Punjabi. So that was very organic, and
Yeah.
I think that should have been one of the factors. I personally feel language is very important. Many times, a lot of the filmmakers, they don't really worry too much about the pronunciation of certain words. Khushi ko agar aap khushi bolenge, to it's no problem, and it's so commonplace. But the fact is that if you want longevity for your film, little things matter, small things matter for sure. How important was it for you to just take care of the context and the language?
No, it was very important because I knew. See, when I wrote the story, it was set in Pakistan. From day one, it was set in Pakistan. And yes, like you rightly said, and I really appreciate your observation on the pronunciations of Urdu, because that's really not there in most of our films, unfortunately. But it was also about the region. Like in Pakistan, Urdu is also spoken in a slightly different way, because their
Punjabi, yes.
pronunciations, yes, it's very much impacted by, like, I got that's why I had written the whole screenplay with dialogues, but I got Muhammad Ahmad Saab, who's a very senior writer from Pakistan, and I asked him to just go through the script and help me, and that's why he wrote additional dialogues. He helped me in crafting my dialogues in the way they speak their lines, because every place has their own grammar of how the spoken word is. Like, one interesting thing he had told me about that time is that Indians, we are very musical people. Like, we have a very sing song quality. If I'm telling you कि फरीदून के साथ मेरा बहुत इंटरव्यू और बहुत मजा आएगा, इसमें एक rhythm है, लेकिन in Pakistan, when it's influenced by that Punjabi culture, and they are like, यार मेरा आज इंटरव्यू है फरीदून के साथ, तो बहुत मजा आने वाला है यार. They have this kind of they speak in a different pattern altogether. It's not just about Urdu. It's also about that pattern and getting it. So that's why then I realized that I need to have Mohammed Saab here during shoot, not just come and craft the dialogues, but he should be present and make sure that we are speaking in the right rhythm also, in the right pattern also. That's why when you see the film and the way people are talking, we had to lose the sing song quality that we have. We have a very musical, beautiful quality of talking. That's why there is a certain pattern. But in Pakistan, they have a very different kind of a pattern. And to get that pattern, and that's naturally there in Ali Zafar because he is from there. So
You
he also
love.
helped a lot. So we did workshops for around 15 days before the shoot. So with Ali and everybody, along with Barry John, we did our workshops, and we did our dialogue rehearsals, and we nailed it to the T. It was so much hard work that everybody put in, and that's why what you're seeing, and that's why I think you're rightly saying the longevity.
Okay, and you went to Pakistan for researching for the film.
Yeah, in 2008, I went to Pakistan with my art director and my first AD, Kunal, and my line producer. His name was, I'm forgetting a little bit out here, but Tarlok Paji. So Tarlok was also there. And so Tarlok, me, Kunal, and my art director, we went there to Pakistan. We went to Karachi and Lahore. We researched, we went on the streets, met people, took a lot of pictures, took some artifacts from there that we could use in the film, and had a lot of fun doing that. And I think that research really helped because we knew that we could not shoot in Pakistan. But it's very important as a writer director to go there and understand the location and the vibe and the people, and that's what we did.
And apparently, the people were good to you.
Very good to us. And you'll hear these stories all the time. Whoever has gone to Pakistan will tell you that when on the street they know that you're an Indian, they're really nice to you. In fact, many places they don't let you, make payments on, like in restaurants and all. If they get to know that you're from India, they won't take money from you. And they love Bollywood. They love our cinema. They love our cricketers. I think somewhere the only problem is with their government and with their army, where they, because they keep propagating it because of the politics which is there. I think since 1971, it's I think more there because the army in Pakistan felt humiliated after the defeat, and there has been this grudge which I think they still nurse, and that's why the government, which is always controlled by the army, is never letting them get into cultural relationships or anything of that sort. But Pakistani people, the common people, and the artists out there, they love India. They love Indians. They love Bollywood films, and they understand our point of view also. When we tell them about terrorism, they understand it, and not to be politically correct. They understand what we are talking about, and they are also, there's so many terrorist attacks happening in Pakistan till today, so they understand where we are coming from. But unfortunately, there is a disconnect between the army. I'm saying army because actually the government out there is usually a puppet government. It's usually the army controlling things. So there is a disconnect between army and what real Pakistani people want or what they want to do, unfortunately.
Since Tere Bin Laden, you've had a few films that have done well, few films maybe they've not. How do you sum up your journey from thereafter? Because the interesting part is that you've not slotted yourself into making the satirical comedy films. You've experimented with various genres.
Yeah.
And a remake like a Shaukeens, for example, that you did. So there have been different sort of films. What exactly was your approach like? Was it that whatever is coming my way, because it's not easy to get projects together in Bollywood, or was it that this is something that I really want to do myself?
I don't want to plan because luckily, I find myself lucky that I've been to National School of Drama. Drama school is a brilliant place because you get exposed to so many great playwrights and great cultures, from William Shakespeare to Kalidasa to Gorky, from Expressionism to Renaissance movement, great painters. We have a great well-stocked library in National School of Drama and all. So I have been exposed to so much and so many genres and so many things. And, people have done great things in theater because understand cinema is just last 100 years. Before that, it was mostly theater, which was the performing art. So much has happened in that field. It's much more evolved. Cinema is still, in its early 100 years. So I got exposed to so much that I always wanted to do exciting things rather than slotting myself, rather than branding myself, rather than becoming a product. I want to remain an artist. And so the idea is to do, something interesting, something that excites you. It's not about the projects coming in your way. Like, there are many films that I've said no to or have not done, but to do something exciting and something new and fresh that excites and challenges me each time. For example, Shaukeen happened. I remember I was editing Tere Bin Laden 2, and I got a call from Tigmanshu Dhulia, Tishubai, that I'm writing a film. Would you be interested in directing it? And when he told me about it's Basuda's Shaukeen, I got excited. I said, let me see what it is. And then I understood what Akshay sir's role was. I loved that character. I said, is he going to do that? Because nobody in Bollywood has ever made fun of himself, calling himself by that name. He is Akshay Kumar. He is no, fictional character. He's playing himself. And before Shaukeens, it has never happened. I think maybe Dharmendra Saab played Dharmendra in Goody. But I don't think that he made fun of himself the way Akshay sir went all out, calling himself alcoholic to furniture, and he used to do that improvisation on his own. I said, is he going to do that? Because it's like a meta comedy, right? You're making fun of yourself. So it's a new genre. It's a new trap. It's a new comic trap in Bollywood. I said, that's itself is a great film. And then of course we had great actors like Anupam sir, Anuji, Piyush Bhai again, coming back with him. And I loved that, challenge. I said, and it's supposed to be a sex comedy. I said, will I be able to? Let's see this as a challenge. That can I make a sex comedy that my parents can watch, and it's not vulgar. And we made that film and it got a US certificate. And Censor Board especially told me that it's amazing how you pulled it off. It's funny and yet it's not vulgar, So that was the challenge which excited me. And of course, the chance to work with Akshay sir was amazing. And him playing himself and him trusting me to do this. You know how vulnerable an actor is. He's supposed to make fun of himself and he's letting me do that.
Produce the film as well.
That's what I'm saying. It's a very big deal. It's a very, very big deal, to have that trust and faith. Not many actors, I won't name, but many actors have played actors and they have not called themselves that actor.
I personally, like Akshay sir has done so many films and so many very fine performances. But I've said this before as well, and I'll tell you once again that I think Shaukeens ka that 20-minute ka role, I think it is one of his best performances.
It is.
Awesome. He is so good in the film that you can go again into the theater just to watch him.
That's what I'm saying. See, what excited me as a director excited you as a viewer, as a critic. So there is somewhere that reason why I would do that film, right? Because it connects. My excitement with that character somewhere worked for you to like it. So you have to be just honest with in film business, films will work, they will not work. It's going to happen. Even if I brand myself and do similar kind of films and bore myself internally, the films are going to flop. Everybody's films flop. So it's not a safety mechanism, I guess. So why not just challenge yourself and get excited with each film?
And the entire portion and the entire the slant of Akshay sir's character, that how the filmmakers and the actors they take a dig at each other, and they're on the surface they are very nice, but they are keeping a tab on the collections of others' films.
Correct.
And they're just hoping that it should fail.
Yeah.
When we see these battles taking place on Twitter between various filmmakers and actors right now, it is something that we've seen in Shaukeens already. That
that happens. We would sit down, see that script. Tishu Bhai and Sai Kabir also wrote it. It happened in a very organic fashion. We would sit down on Akshay sir's character with him, and we would discuss so many things. He would tell us so many stories because we wanted to show. Of course, it's a hyped up character. Akshay sir is not a alcoholic. He's not. Of course, it's a over the top representation of things. But we took a lot of raw material from himself, from him, and to make his character and the surroundings and these situations. What you're talking about, that how they talk, what conversations happen and how people take dig as each other. And it's true, we have been to film premieres, and I have seen one great thing. If a film is really good, you can see it on people's faces who don't like it, that why is it so good. They're really scared. There's fear. They fear. And if the film is really bad, they are really happy. And in that happiness, they're like, great film, because they're so happy inside.
They know कि flop होने वाली है.
Yeah, they're projecting it on you to tell you that what a great film. So तब सबसे ज़्यादा खुल के तारीफ करते हैं वो लोग, because उनको पता है ये picture बकवास है. लेकिन
and they're dying to go out and just call up and bitch about the film.
Yeah, it's funny, and that's how the world is, and it's everywhere. I'm sure it's like that in Hollywood, and because we as artists are like that. We are very insecure, and that insecurity also comes from, like you rightly said, so difficult to make a film. Like, I'm really thankful that I'm here after 10 years and making films. Very difficult to sustain a journey out here even. It's not easy. That's why people are so insecure. And that's why, rather than being proactive and constructive about your own journey and trying to do well, people also get happiness out of other people's failure, unfortunately. But that's true. That's human behavior. That's how it is.
Have you dealt with such experiences where your projects have been, there have been spanners which have been brought
in terms of during the making?
Of any of the films, of like maybe you may be having a film and you may have the star cast ready as well, but suddenly someone drops out.
Actually, I'll tell you, honestly speaking, I worked with, in 2 films I had big stars working. Akshay sir in Shaukeens and John in Parmanu. And both of them were producer actors in both the projects, and they were smooth rides. So never had that issue. Recently, I worked, my next film, Sooraj Pe Mangal Bhari, has Diljit, Manoj sir, Fatima and all. So I have never had this problem, because mostly I worked with newcomers or younger stars, and and the 2 times that I worked with the big stars, they are both very, very professional. So I never had, luckily, touch wood, I never had this issue of somebody dropping out or spanners in the work in that sense. The only time that we really hit a wall, which I've said before, was in Tere Bin Laden's release, the distribution. We had nobody touching the film. Like, I just told you that, one, it was not a very Bollywood kind of a film. And 2, it was completely set in Pakistan, Pakistani characters, top line by a Pakistani talent. Nobody was touching it. So that was the only time when, I have faced that kind of a roadblock where we didn't know what to do until Mr. Boni Kapoor saw the film and he loved it. And he took the punt and he said, I'll release it. I'm eternally grateful to him for distributing the film. So apart from that, no. And then Parmanu, of course, we had a different share of problem. Everybody knows about that. But that problem, because it was legal in nature, and I have a fair share of background working in legal, I knew that it'll subside. It'll be all right. And I kept reassuring John that don't worry, we'll be out of this. But yeah, it was also a depressing time, honestly, for both of us, because it was just delaying, The
release was getting delayed.
Yeah. So both times the problem was release, but not during the making, luckily. That never happened.
When you come up with a sequel, Tere Bin Laden 2, when it was coming up, how tough is it because of the expectations that people already have? Everyone has seen the first film.
I think where we went wrong, I think we have had this chat before where you said, do you think it was a mistake? And I said it was a blunder. So I think where we went wrong.
I think it was good in parts. I really liked it in parts.
Yes. No. And genuinely,
they were really funny. Yeah.
Genuinely, there's certain things which I'm proud of in the film, like Olympia Dehshat is, is a great, you can call it a meme on, on things. But I think where we went wrong was that we were trying too hard to be different again. Tere Bin Laden was so out of the box that we thought that how do we structure the sequel in a non-sequel way. And we came up with an idea called film outside a film. You know about film within a film. This was a film outside a film, as in Tere Bin Laden Part 2, is a movie in which Tere Bin Laden Part 1 is a film. It's confusing as a one line itself. But when you watch it, you understand that, Ali Zafar is playing Ali Zafar. It was again a meta comedy. And I think my experiences on Shaukeens also kind of rubbed on it. I had a character in Shaukeens, which is Akshay sir's character playing Akshay Kumar himself. Similarly here, many people were playing themselves. And
Right.
this time, what worked in Shaukeens was that it was a subplot. It was not the main plot. Okay. Here, this was the main plot. And people love Tere Bin Laden. Now, after 10 years, we understand that it has gotten into a cult kind of a situation. So for people, it was a big disappointment that they were not seeing the journey of Ali Hassan. Rather, they were seeing spoof on Ali Zafar and other characters. They're not playing themselves. So I think somewhere we got overexcited and overboard with that idea. I think if it was a connecting tissue, which I didn't want to do, I didn't want to do a connecting sequel because I thought that after Bin Laden's death, that journey is over. Like I told you right now, that the post 9/11 war on terror situation is over. I mean, I didn't know what Ali Hassan in America, which is the end of first Tere Bin Laden, what I could do with that, and it was not exciting to me. But when Bin Laden died, I found this as interesting. That what if I, as the director, was making a sequel of Tere Bin Laden 2 during the time Bin Laden died and my sequel got cancelled. So I took that story and tried to, make a very different out of the box. It's a very rare genre film in Bollywood. I'm sure that that film might be liked by a few handful of people who like those kind of experimental comedies, but it didn't work, and I understand why it didn't work. We went overboard with that, I guess.
Now, Zoya factors. When I spoke to you and Anuja, so it was a very fine conversation. I really liked talking to both of you, and you come across as someone who who's intelligent, who's articulate, and what he wants to say. And I personally was quite excited for the film, but when the movie came out, it didn't really work. So, what really happened? What is it that you feel could have been different for the movie to work?
No, see, it's subjective for everybody to see whether a film is good or bad. Like, even Tere Bin Laden one, many people might not have liked. But what really impacted us at that time, where we went, I think, somewhere wrong, which I've said before also, is that, the film released in a very wrong window. Unfortunately, we had two very good films in theater, Chichore and Dream Girl, both going blockbuster. Both did, I think, around 200 crores, and it was amazing, those two films. In fact, I watched Chichore and I told people around, my friends, I said that we might be in trouble. This is such a good film. It has legs. It's going to go on for weeks, because even Chichore did not open very big on the first day. It grew with word of mouth. So it had legs, for weeks. And I think it went for like 8-10 weeks, good weeks. And then you had Dream Girl, which was a huge hit. Ayushmann, riding the storm and riding the success. And then comes 4-5 films together. So it's already an overcrowded weekend. And Zoya Factor is one of my films which has got really good reviews. If you see, including Bollywood Hungama. And in fact, you'll be amazed that some critics have given it better rating than the same critics have not given that good rating to Tere Bin Laden. So I'm not saying that, it's a great film, it's a masterpiece, but it was not as bad as the numbers show. Worse films have done better. But when the overcrowded weekend, the film came already with the success of Chichore and Dream Girl and amazing films, people are going into theaters for that. I think that's where we lost the plot. So we never had a opening day only. So a normal opening day for this kind of film, if it should be X, it was nothing, literally nothing.
Right.
So from there on, I think you can't win that battle. I think that's where the main issue lies.
You're quite insistent that Sooraj Pe Mangal Bhari should release in a theater.
I really am hoping so. I'm, my fingers crossed. Even Z is very excited with the film. I showed them the first cut, and everybody's. They know, everybody knows that it's a great family comedy. I can tell you that it's a very theatrical experience. It's like we say for large canvas films that it's a theatrical experience. Similarly, a family comedy of this nature, which is out of the box, it's a genre-defining comedy. It's something which is again not done before in that kind of those kind of characters. It is a theatrical experience. So I would love it to come into theaters. Unfortunately, we do not know when the theaters are going to open. We are really hoping that they open soon. Also, for the sake of the multiplexes and the cinema owners, they're going through a lot of hardships right now. So as soon as they open, I think we'll be able to take a final call on when to release it, how to release it. But my fingers are crossed that it should. I really hope that it releases in theaters.
But the film is complete.
Yeah. We shot it. See, luckily, what happened, Faridoon, is that we were shooting the film till we were supposed to shoot it till mid-March, and I think first week of March onwards, the reports were coming in that was going to get serious. So I think around 13, 14 March, I spoke to my crew and I told them, this is not looking good. I think we will get into a lockdown like many other countries. So the great thing would be to finish the film before we get into a lockdown. Right now, let's not, because again, we won't know when the lockdown would open. And secondly, I don't want to risk people's health. So let's just put 4 hours extra and finish the film. So in last 2 days, we did the work of 4 days and we finished it off. Everybody was on board. They understood why we were doing it. Diljit, though, I must appreciate that he was, last day of shoot, he was there and he had just come from somewhere and he was jet lagged very badly, but still he did it because we all knew, that this could get serious. And I'm an overcautious person usually, so I realized it very early that this can become a very long haul, this lockdown. So we finished the shoot, and ever since we have been into post production and edit. So I think the film will be ready, should be ready by August and September-ish. We'll be completely ready. The post-production is slightly slow in terms of working from home for most people and, on the servers and all. It's not as fast as it is usually. But then in lockdown, we had ample time to do that. So, nobody minded it.
Dubbing, was it like sync sound or did people...
I always do sync sound. From Tere Bin Laden, my first film, I have always insisted on sync sound. Because for me, it is performance capture, not just the sound capture. So luckily, again, we don't need too much dubbing. In all my films, I've hardly done 1 or 2 days of dub for certain technical reasons or some accent or those issues. So we do not have much of dubbing also.
You're planning your next film with John?
Yes, I'm writing something. So in the lockdown, I was doing the post for Sooraj Pe Mangal Bhari and I was writing for the film that me and John are supposed to do. Now that also we do not know when exactly those dates, because John is also waiting for his schedule to open up because he has too many commitments right now lined up, which he will. I think they were supposed to shoot Mumbai Saga and that also got cancelled, the schedule.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm very excited about that film. So I've been writing that.
Okay, and what is it called?
So right now the working title is Ray.
That's what I read, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what. And I'm also saying so much because John already said it in a Mumbai Mirror interview. So I think that much I can tell you that it's called Ray. It's a new genre. It's not a comedy. It's very different from Parmanu. But we are both very excited. It's a very new genre, in Bollywood. So we are both very, very excited about.
Okay, one last question. Sooraj Pe Mangal Bhari, you're having Manoj Bajpayee. Interesting part is that after the unfortunate demise of Sushant and the certain interviews that Manoj Bhai has been giving and his viewpoints and the way he has spoken up, there's a major surge in his popularity.
Mm-hmm.
His Instagram followers, I think they are growing by leaps and bounds. I think more than 1 million followers, something like that, I think have been added to his account. Does that make you happy as a director that there's this certain amount of interest in your actor, and people are looking at him as this actor with a voice and who's having a substantial body of work behind him?
See, popularity is a very fragile thing. We all know in this industry. What I am excited about, for me, he is one of the greatest actors. I always thought that the two greatest actors that Indian cinema has seen have been Manoj sir and Irrfan bhai. Unfortunately, we lost Irrfan bhai, but and these are two great pillars, of great acting, of method acting, of making characters that are amazing. They are international level. I mean, they're as good as any actor in the world. So Manoj sir, for me, from Satya onwards, I mean, I'm a big fan. I think he has been popular, and even with Family Man, he became hugely popular. So I do not see that as a special attraction for me. I feel his character that he's playing in Sooraj Pe Mangal Bhari is so good that when the trailer will come out, people are going to get excited to see this film and him. and so is Diljit. And now, of course, Diljit also had a great hit with Good News
Of course.
recently. But when
Mm.
we signed up with him, Good News had not released. So I think, see, these things are very temporary and very difficult to plan. I think Manoj sir, as a human being, is a very direct, frank person with a good, straight point of view. Very, he calls a spade, and that's why people connect. Like I like him and love him as a person because of that, and I think that's where the audience is connecting. So which is a great thing, but that's a separate thing from a movie. For my movie, I feel the character he's played and the actor he is enough for people to come to theaters.
Absolutely. Abhishek, wonderful talking to you. Thank you very much for sharing
Same here.
your journey the last 10 years.
Thank
And
you.
congratulations and all the best wishes for Sooraj Pe Mangal Bhari and Ray. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Faridoon. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.